Scorpio Sun and Rising. Welcome to your June 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. June is another jam-packed month. You are coming off of a lunar eclipse in your sign in early May. So some of you may have experienced a very transformative event. And the eclipse season may be over with, but the impact can be lasting. We also had an Aries solar eclipse, and that was on around April 20th. So for you, this was in your sixth house of work and health. So you may have seen new developments in that practical area of life as well. So we begin the month on the 3rd, well, at the beginning, the first week, with a full moon at 13 degrees of Sagittarius. For Scorpios, this is your second house, and therefore this can be connected to money. And this means that with the full moon, you could be reaping the harvest that you have already planted. And, for some people, a full moon, you have these every year, so it's not like this is anything unusual. But sometimes they might mean different things depending on what year it is and where you're at financially. Because you might be retiring. You might be stopping a certain type of income stream. And so it could show that you are ending something. For others, it might be that you're finally turning a profit. This could be getting a bonus or something along those lines. The second house is also your self-esteem. So there might be a reason why you're starting to feel better about yourself for some reason. On the 5th, Venus goes into Leo. This is significant because in late July, Venus is going to turn retrograde in Leo. Normally, if Venus went into a sign in the first week of June, it would be over with by the month's end. And the very fact that it's not even turning retrograde until late July tells you that it's really slowing down right now. It's actually going to be in this area for the next 4 months. So it makes it super significant. Well, in your case, in your case, Scorpio, Leo is your 10th house of career. So this could indicate that you're going to have this positive influence for months to come. When Venus is retrograding, there might be this brief period where maybe it's a salary negotiation. Maybe there's something about what you're doing that doesn't feel harmonious, or you're having some sort of issue with your higher ups. I'm going to, discuss all of those in the July forecast, so I'm not going to get too far into that. But overall, this could be a very positive transit for you. Venus going into the 10th house can indicate that you are being seen in a favorable way by the public. And you can be attracting blessings to you. This could be even like popularity professionally and with people that, you're following, if you will. This is a very prominent place because it's at the top of the chart. So you may have a lot of favor from authority figures, the higher ups, and they want to help you. So that can be very advantageous for your career. On the 11th, Pluto goes back into Capricorn. So for Scorpio, this is going to be the third house. You've had Pluto in the fourth for a few months now, and now it's going back into the third, and you'll have another one of these retrogrades back into Capricorn in 2024. Then in November of 2024, Pluto's going to stay in that fourth house for 20 years. So the third house can be family members too. The fourth house might be the mother, some say the father. I call it family of origin to indicate either parent, but also your childhood itself, the past. The third house can be your siblings. It can be aunts, uncles, cousins. And so Pluto there can bring power struggles with those people. However, this is more on, looking at yourself this time, which is really awesome. Because even if, let's say you grew up with sibling rivalry and you always felt like the black sheep of the family, and especially look at your natal chart and see if you have any planets in the third house, because sometimes that can really show that if you have Saturn, Mars, maybe even Pluto, there could be some issue with siblings that isn't harmonious. And you kind of reflect on that dynamic of that relationship, and you can see how you have fed into it. Even if you could still make the case that other person has been the golden child, has been the favored one, you can see how you either exacerbated the situation or you simply had your own desire to be the one. Like, for instance, sibling rivalry really sucks, but some people, they're fighting for that favor from the parent, the narcissist. Now that's messed up, because if you really don't like sibling rivalry, then you should be totally divorcing yourself from it altogether and not trying to curry favor. But it's a human nature, People want to be loved by their parents and accepted by them, and it's hard when you're younger because you don't realize that it's all kind of like a game, or it's contrived. You might just really feel like, oh, wow, I want to be loved too. But even that sibling who is getting that preferential treatment, that's not really love. That parent isn't really showing love, and that person is being abused as well. So maybe you're starting to realize that, or if this is a problem with a neighbor that you have had, Pluto in the third house could be, this long-standing battle, because you've had Pluto in Capricorn, so you've had it in this house for years, between you and a neighbor. Like maybe this person tried to, do something that infringed on your rights, and you've been fighting them, and there's been a power struggle. But sometimes it can work the other way, and you may have to see this. Like, for instance, let's say you felt like your neighbor was trying to tell you what to do on your own property, and you were just like, no, it's my house, my way or the highway. And now you kind of realize, yeah, you know what? I am, contributing to that person's inability to relax because I am playing my music too loud or whatever. And even though I own this house, I still have to think about the people around me. So sometimes, that initial impulse is to be like, no, I have the right to do something, and feel that somebody is being controlling. And then you think about it and you say, hey, you know what? I am, maybe I don't like the way they talk to me. Maybe they should have approached me in a different way, but they still have a point. And you can soften an attitude. So it's like doing that shadow work about that situation. And Mercury's going into Gemini. So Mercury is going into the 8th house. And you're going to start to see some transits here, although, um, you know, Venus and Mars are already in Leo, so they have already been through here. So you're not going to be seeing too many things besides Gemini, these inner planets, no. But I will say that Mars was here for 7 months until March. So you have been experiencing something. You did experience something 8th house related for an extended period of time. And that could have been some kind of fight over shared resources like an inheritance or what have you. So this Mercury and a new moon later in the month could be indicating that there has been some resolution. Maybe you're signing a document connected to all of that. Some of you may be enrolling in some kind of a metaphysical course, shamanic healing course this month. On the 17th, Saturn turns retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces, fellow water sign. For you, Scorpio, and this is going to be in your 5th house of love and creativity. And for those of you who are really trying to get your artistic shit together, I mean that you want to actually make it into a career, now you may hit a bit of a speed bump where you're not quite sure. And what I would always suggest, and this is, I feel the same way about if somebody wants to start a YouTube channel, especially now, because when I started back in 2014, it was so much easier. Okay, you didn't have to have watch time or any of that stuff. And the thing is that, yeah, you have to jump through more hoops. So it makes sense to just maybe look at it as a hobby and don't be too impatient for things to get popping, because it might take longer than you're hoping. But it doesn't mean that it can't happen, because once you get started, you may find, and you never know. I noticed this one astrologer who was always stuck on this certain number of subscribers, and all of a sudden now that person has hundreds of thousands. So, and I don't think they're the type to buy subscribers, so it must be organic, and it must be something that was like meteoric. And how did that happen? After they had been around for years. Things, things can happen that way. You never know what's going to happen. So anyway, Saturn in the 5th house for people who are looking for love can mean that you're getting very serious about it. And of course, we always joke about Scorpios as being intense. So being serious isn't necessarily, you might take it to the extreme for sure, Scorpio. But Saturn means that you want something serious. And I think most Scorpio people are like this anyhow. You're not the kind to be cavalier about love. And the 5th house is like the dating scene. So now that Saturn is retrograding, you might feel a little bit more like you're easing up from it. And perhaps it has to do, like, especially with the Northern Hemisphere, we're in the summer period. So people may be traveling, or they're just they're just not in the same mode of like getting down to brass tacks about anything, even maybe their work life. They're just kind of chilling. And that could be you as well, where you just want to let go of this need for any kind of restrictions as far as your love life is concerned. On the 18th, the very next day, we have a new moon at 26 degrees of Gemini, and that's going to be in that 8th house. So you could see new developments in metaphysical pursuits. In this could be the phoenix rising from the ashes, and this is your domain, Scorpio, so you have a great affinity with this house. So enjoy a new moon in your domain. On the 21st, the summer solstice or winter down under is occurring. It's at 9:57 a.m. Central Standard Time. So this is a great time for you, because this is when the sun is in a cardinal sign, and it means that there's a lot of action that's going to be taking place. But for you, this is the 9th house, and this is the God house. This is Sagittarius domain. So there's a positivity associated with it. And with the new moon in the 8th house, you may be feeling this sense of fresh starts, or not so much fresh starts, although any new moon would be a fresh start, but in the 8th house, the sense of renewal. And with the 9th house sun, this puts you in this, because when you have a new moon, the sun and moon are in conjunction. So the sun is in that 9th house, and it's going from the 8th to the 9th houses. Both of these are spiritual houses. And it can really underscore this idea of, you as being on the spiritual path. And what does that entail? Well, there's an inner side, which I would say is the 8th house, and the outer part. The cheerful vibe that you exude would be the 9th house, and that inner commitment to change, to kind of like the word refinement came into my mind, and I was thinking of alchemy, your personal alchemy in the 8th house, refining, lead into gold and that kind of thing. On the 26th, Mercury goes into that 9th house. Who knows? Maybe, Mercury can be passports and other documents. Maybe you're getting some paperwork together because you're going to be traveling. 9th house is long distance traveling, so to another country, for instance. Also, this may have some connection to university. 9th house is higher education, so teaching or learning there. Maybe teaching or learning abroad. On the 30th, or even doing business with foreign countries. On the 30th, Neptune goes retrograde. It's in Pisces. So that's the 5th house. So anyone who has had some kind of dating situation that has occurred, maybe you've been seeing somebody casually, and when Neptune was in full force, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing I forgot to mention, is that Neptune is also in that 5th house. So when Neptune is in your 5th, you might meet a Pisces. That's a compatible sign to you. But there could be some situation in your dating life where somebody's being deceptive. And Scorpios really take this hard. You guys, that's like your worst nightmare, is somebody lying to you, somebody cheating on you, or misrepresenting themselves, because that sense of betrayal, like if you put your trust in somebody and they totally play you or whatever, that can feel especially hard for a Scorpio person to deal with, because you're already struggling with trust issues, and that would just add fuel to the fire. So another thing is, if you have been, wanting love in your life, but you were not realizing how jaded you are, or how afraid you are of opening up. And so this can kind of give you that reality check. And yes, it can be a little bit jarring, but it can be good because it can help you. See, Saturn being in the fifth house can help you be disciplined about this process. And to me, that means not being excessive, not being overwhelming to another person, so that you can have your dreams come true. Okay, that's what I have for you, Scorpio. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double astrology readings called Deep Dive, because they're a package deal. There's two full-length readings. Each one is at least an hour in length for a special price. And they really cover all the bases, because it's an analysis of your natal chart in one of the readings, and then the other reading is transits for the next 12 months. And so it gives you both sides of the astrology coin. So that one's Deep Dive. I do have a combination with the tarot called the Whole Enchilada, and then I have standalone readings. So you can find out more information at the link below. I'm at rainandmoonastrology.com. I thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.